Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, boys and girls, children of all ages. Welcome back to another exciting, ebullient, riveting, and whatever. Ebullient, whatever.
Dictionary.
We know it's been a while since between the end of school for Anna Marie and health issues for both of us and other life things. We've been away for a while. Please excuse the crunching of the bottle. Because no matter where I hide the bottles, the dog always finds them. And he decides that this is the place and time to chew them. We'd be remiss if we didn't send out a special thank you to our listener of the month, my brother Jack. Thank you for your listening and your support. The check is in the mail. Don't call us. We'll call you.
Checks?
Yeah, checks, like check marks on a paper. That's a check, right?
Oh, what color?
Purple checks.
Okay, we'll do purple this time.
Okay. Not like checks mixed, though. No. That would be hard to ship.
Oh, man. I'm just going to make him up some of those checks, buddy buddies.
Oh, well, maybe he would like that. I don't know. He'll have to write into our customer service department.
We have a customer service department.
Why do you keep asking questions you know the answers to? What do I pay you? What do I pay you for?
When did you?
Oh my goodness. We should call this the question episode. I thought the name of this episode was when you say nothing at all.
No, it's when you say nothing at all.
I, not you. I see. The royal I, not the royal you.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
A-E-I-O-U. Okay, so you're probably wondering now.
What is wrong with the two people behind the microphone? The common question get a lot.
Wow.
I'm going to sit here and sip my coffee now.
Oh, that's rude. No one wants to hear that. All right. So whenever we go out to go shopping or we're out to dinner, I like to people watch. And I'm always very curious about what people are doing at the tables around us. Sometimes they're talking about very inane subjects, what Johnny did at school yesterday, or who's going to pick up carpool, whatever it might be. And I'm always curious about the couples that aren't talking. Now, a lot of times they're both on their devices, which we've been guilty of a time or two. But every now and again, stop pointing at me. But every now and again, you see those couples that are just sitting there in silence. And it got me thinking, how many couples are like that you can be out to dinner or out shopping or maybe just at home where neither one of you is talking, but you're still enjoying being together in the same space?
I should have left him with the bottle. At least that was quieter. We do that a lot, and I don't often even realize that we're doing it. You'll be reading or you'll be playing a game on your phone, or you'll be doing that Sudoku stuff that I can't wrap my brain around. And I'll be on my phone playing a game or reading something or on the iPad reading. And we're just kind of sitting and existing together and not feeling the need to just, like many couples do. I've known so many people that feel the need to just fill every single second of silence with something, whether you're talking about anything like instructive or interesting or whatever. Some people just feel the need to talk and talk and talk. And you and I have never really never had the need to do that. At least I don't think so.
No. See, a couple weeks ago, we went to one of the local libraries and I found a couple of books that looked interesting. Now, being that from, say, August till June, I'm dealing with 7-year-olds. If it's not a book a 7-year-old's going to pay attention to, I probably won't even look at it. So when we went to the library, I was kind of perusing the books that they had just gotten in, and I saw a couple that caught my eye. And of course, they're due back. Oh, did you know they're due back this week? All those books we checked out?
So they're due on the 12th.
Yeah, that's this week. Isn't it?
Friday? No, Friday.
That's in this week, right?
Yes.
Sorry, when I go on summer vacation, my concept of days and dates kind of go right out the window. So the fact that I know they're due this week, and Craig here is going, huh? that surprises me.
I knew it was coming up. You're not in school, and I am in school, but I'll check my schedule for my classes every couple of days and say, "Oh, that's due in a couple of days." I've got plenty of time to worry about that. So that's the only reason I keep track of the days of the week, because my assignments are usually due by like Sunday.
Yeah, and once I stopped sending the alarm, then I've kind of forgotten what day it is. So, okay, back to the library. So I checked out a couple of books. One of them I started at the library, and I was like 3 chapters in, and I think it just my interest kind of fizzled out in it. But yesterday I picked up the other book I checked out and started reading it, and I think I got into like the hundreds on the page number and realized that I had not said a word to you for a few hours. And when I finally tore my nose out of the book and looked at you, you just had this grin on your face and went back to what you were reading. And I thought, boy, I hope you didn't find that rude. I've just been sitting here for hours not saying a word because I was so engrossed in the book I was reading.
What's the name of the book? Don't Forget the Girl?
Don't Forget the Girl. It's an absolutely amazing piece of true crime fiction. So if you are a true crime fan,
We are not a true crime podcast.
So this is an author who teaches at, I believe it's the University of Indianapolis, or it's the University of Iowa. Something with an I.
Something with an I.
But she's an instructor there. Her name, well, I'd have to go get the book to tell you. Rachel McKenna, I believe is the name. And it was one of those books I just kind of picked up. I read the back cover and thought, wow, this looks really interesting. So it's her very first novel. It's a true crime novel, but it's fiction based. So the incidents did not actually happen. But I know she did research into true crime where she crafted this book. So I started reading it. Oh, sorry.
No, I'm sorry for interrupting. Rebecca McKenna, McKanna.
Oh, thank you very much. Can you double check on where she teaches? Because that's really going to bug me now that I can't remember. And I just finished reading that book today. So while the research department is looking up information for me, I started reading this book yesterday. I actually finished it today. But yesterday when I started reading it, and as I said, I had spent hours with my nose in the book, looked up, and he was just grinning at me. I apologized right away and said, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. That is so rude. I haven't said a word to you. And Craig's response was that he actually enjoyed looking over and seeing me just engrossed in this book. And the first thing I thought of is...
Well, it says she was born and raised in Iowa, so...
Maybe it is the University of Iowa that she teaches at. I know in the book there's like a bio on her. Short bio, like there is on most authors' books. So I know that during the school year, really, if I've got a book in hand at all, it's a school book or it's a children's book. So the fact that he just found it delightful to see me just sitting there engrossed in a book. In fact, that's where he found me this morning, is just curled up on the couch, again, with my nose in the book. And I think other than when he asked me what I wanted for dinner yesterday and what I wanted for lunch this morning, that's probably the longest conversation we had. But he still found enjoyment in us being together, even though we weren't talking about anything.
I've just been handed a note from the research department. She's an associate professor of English at the University of Indianapolis.
I knew it started with
an I. She lives in Indianapolis with her husband and miniature schnauzer Hans Gruber. Excellent name. I
knew it was something with an I. Now I feel much better. Don't all of you feel better? I feel better.
See, now you were reading that book, and I was reading the Gene Wilder book, Kiss Me Like a Stranger, kind of an autobiography that he did. Amazing book. I've always been a fan of his since my first recollection of him, obviously, is Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
Charlie and the Chocolate
Factory.
1970s version. Excellent movie, by the way. I am not a fan
Or the other one?
The one with Johnny Depp. Not a fan of that at all. He turned Willy Wonka into something very pervy and very creepy. But Gene Wilder's version of Willy Wonka in what I deem the original version, it's witty, it's silly, it's funny. I mean, I could watch that movie every single day and never get bored. It's just a funny movie. And again, we are so far off topic right now. We went right off the road into the cornfield.
That's all right. And that's what we do here. People by now should know that. They should know to buckle up. Forget GPS because it's not going to matter because we're going to have something like totally different that you were not expecting. And sometimes we were not expecting. We're just like, we'll stop and look around and say, hey, how did we get here? I have no idea. But I was reading my book about Gene, and it's given me a greater appreciation for the things that he's been through and the things that he's experienced. And I was unaware. I knew that he had written or co-written Young Frankenstein with Mel Brooks, but I didn't know that he was also the writer and creator of many other movies and things. So I have much more appreciation of Gene than I did before I read the book. But the point is, you were reading, I was reading, you were sitting like a foot or two away from me on the couch. So we were in close proximity, and I felt that you were in a room with me, and I know that you knew that I was with you, and that was fine. That was all we needed. We didn't need to constantly have noise. I know couples that will turn on the TV and they'll ignore the TV, but it's on in the background, and that's fine. If that's like your emotional support background noise, good for you. If it works for you, absolutely do it. It's not hurting anybody, so why not? But I enjoy the fact that I can read and you're not constantly bugging me like, what are you doing? Or, hey, I was just thinking or whatever. You see I'm reading and I'm like, all right, he's reading, I'll leave him alone. And I did the same thing for you. The only time I interrupted, like you said, was to ask you if I needed to feed you because your nose was in the book and you were like, at first you're like, hey, I'm 93 pages in. Then you're like, oh my God, I'm halfway through. And then this morning, look, I only have this little amount left. So I was very happy to see that because I think you mentioned during the school year, you don't have time to just sit and read. You might have like a half hour here or there for television, and obviously we could read instead of doing the TV thing. But at that point in the day, your brain is checked out and you don't want to do anything. You want to have like mindless entertainment.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to think about it. And you can follow along like the game show, the quiz with big balls or
the 1%
club. The 1%. Even though I can't stand the host, that's neither here nor there.
So that was the first thing I noticed. And then I started thinking about other situations that we've been in where we haven't talked. And it can be something like we're driving somewhere and maybe, the comedy station is on Sirius or we're flipping through looking for music. And again, we're not talking. Like he might be singing along to one of the songs or we're just driving along, just not saying anything. And again, it's not because we have nothing to say. It's just those moments where we're together, but we're just quiet.
I've noticed that there's a lot of times where we'll be in the car for like a half hour before we even turn the radio on someday. We have such a relationship where we can just sit.
Mm-hmm.
So no need to talk, no need for music. We're just driving down the 405 or the 91 or whatever. We're just like, and at some point I'm like, hey, how about some music? Without even thinking about it, we spent most of the car ride, whether it's going to see Kurt to get your hair done or Jamie to get your eyebrows done or going to the spaghetti factory in Fullerton, or we can do almost the entire ride there or back and like we'll get close to our destination and like, hey, how about some music? Or once in a while, like, you okay over there? And you're like, yeah, you okay over there? Yep, we're great.
Or when we're driving to LA or driving through LA and my hands have white grip the steering wheel because I'm so anxious. I just don't want to hear anything at all. That is probably one part of living in California that I do not enjoy. It is driving to or in the city of Los Angeles. People don't pay attention to anybody else. They are just honking and zipping by as fast as they can go. And all I'm thinking is, I just want to get there. And by the time we get to our destination, I literally have to pry my fingers loose from the steering wheel because I have been anxiously holding on to it, just praying we don't get hit by a car, semi, moving truck, whatever it may be.
And you must have some kind of internal GPS because as we're leaving the city, there's some imaginary line that we cross where your whole body just visibly relaxes because you sense that you're out of danger. We're still on the freeway, but we're not in the thick of LA traffic anymore.
Yep. But that's a moment where, turn the radio on. Please don't talk to me except to say, you need to take that exit, the one we just drove past. And say it very calmly because then I'll just lose it. But then I started thinking about, where else have we been that there have been couples that don't say anything? And rarely do I see couples in restaurants that are not talking. Usually everybody around us is talking about something, whether it's something on the menu, what the kid is doing, telling the kid to be quiet, asking each other about their day. I rarely see couples that can just sit and enjoy a meal and not feel like they have to add to all the voices around them.
I've noticed a lot of them, if they're not talking, they're on their phones.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not talking because they're on their phones, not necessarily because they're eating or whatever, but it's like they're there, but they're not. And it's sad to see so many. I know that's the culture. I know that's just how things are now. As my grandmother used to say, it's just the way it is. And I get that that's how society is now, where everybody's plugged in or turned on or tuned in or whatever to some kind of electronic thing. And it's very sad when you see a group of I'm assuming family of 5 or 6 people, mother, father, children, spouses, in-laws, whatever, and none of them are paying attention to each other for almost the entire meal. They don't say anything to anybody. They don't talk to one another. They don't look at one another. Just they're in their own little worlds. And it's sad and it breaks my heart. And I'm not saying that I want a restaurant full of 100 people all trying to talk over one another. Like we usually get at the spaghetti factory where there's a large table, usually situated. It doesn't matter where they seat us. Without fail, a large party will arrive and they'll start pushing tables together right next to us. I'm like, oh, great. Well, there goes our meal kind of thing, because, almost to a table, it's like they're all trying to talk over one another. And I'm like, dude, she's like a foot away from you. I'm pretty sure you don't need to use that volume of speech to make them hear you.
Sure you do.
Obviously, I don't know what I was thinking.
So now, of course, that got me thinking of other situations where we have seen people that are just like us who aren't really talking. And I've noticed when we're down by the beach, if we're walking along the pier or, just walking along, browsing in the shops, I've seen lots of couples and they're not saying anything, probably because they're just enjoying getting some vitamin D from the sun, or they're watching the people surfing, or they're avoiding all the birds that are soaring over their heads, are hoping that the few people that are trying to fish off the pier don't spear them with their fishing hooks when they're trying to cast, which they really shouldn't be doing.
Well, those signs aren't for them.
Of course not.
The ones that say no overhead cast. No, that's not for them. That's for other people.
Now, I will say this though. The one place where I should see plenty of couples not saying a word is movie theaters when the movie is going. But inevitably, we will be somewhere where there will be couples who are talking throughout the movie. Makes me absolutely crazy. That's when I want to start singing when you say nothing at all. Of course, nobody wants to hear me do that, so I'm not even going to give you my rendition of that because we don't have enough earplugs. Oh, we should buy earplugs that say Coffee and Cuddles on it. No, because then they'll use them during the podcast. And I don't want that either.
Yeah, it's true. They don't go together with the podcast. They're for other times.
Exactly. But I don't think there's anything wrong with being in a social setting or I don't know if it's just a couple at home. I don't know if that's considered a social setting or not. But just, each person is doing something and you're just enjoying being in the same room, each person doing their activity and just being in the moment.
I think there's something to be said for being in each other's company and enjoying being in that company with the other person.
Mm-hmm.
I think if you don't enjoy being with somebody, in the quiet times, and that, I think that says something. What I don't know, but it says something about you, the other person, or both, perhaps, that you should probably delve a little deeper into that. Not that we give out relationship advice.
No.
I know there are people listening that think we make this look easy. It's not. It's not an automatic thing. It's something that we work at every single day. There's a lot of I'm sorry's, a lot of I shouldn't have done that. I shouldn't, not that like one of us is more to blame than the other, but if one of us goofs up, then we hold ourselves accountable to that. And it's not always easy to admit that you goofed, but I think it's important to do that. So for those playing at home, it's not as easy as it looks. Good, solid, strong, whatever relationships take work every single day. Not a lot of work, not always intense work, but there's always something in motion that you should be doing or trying or whatever to make sure that you're both like good to one another.
Mm-hmm, definitely.
I think that wraps it up. My coffee cup is about empty. The last final words I want to say: if you're in the path of Hurricane Beryl or Beryl or however you say it, I hope that you're safe and dry and your powers come back on you by now. By the time this episode airs, I should be having a procedure on my hand to relieve the trigger finger. Hopefully that goes away because right now I can't function at all with my right hand.
So actually any prayers, good thoughts would be very, very welcome.
Absolutely.
Those of you that are in any parts where you have heat waves coming through or you have air quality advisories going off, please, please, please stay indoors unless you have to go out, especially if you have respiratory issues like I do. And then, of course, if you're anywhere where it's been extremely hot, please keep in mind your pets when you need to take them outside.
Absolutely.
If the ground is too hot for your bare foot, don't take your pets out until it cools down. Now, of course, before you come at me and say, well, if my dog has to go, trust me, our dog picks just about any inconvenient time to say that he has to go. And of course, you can't actually tell a dog to just hold it until the weather cools off. I mean, if they have to go, they have to go. But if it's just to take them for a walk, if it's too hot for your bare feet, then it's too hot for a dog. So please, be careful of that. I'm sorry. I thought you were going to say something.
No, I'm just waiting for you to finish your thought.
I did finish my thought. That's why I looked over at you waiting.
Well,
I thought
telling me. See, I was saying nothing at all. So.
Oh, there you go.
We appreciate each and every one of you listening out there. We thank you for coming back week after week. And the next episode will be season 2. So thanks for listening. Thanks for being awesome. We love you all and God bless.